For my first project, I couldn't be expecting to see supercar keys, could I? But with a new addition, my once sports car suitable couple has now become a pram-wielding family unit. That's why I was really rapt to see the keys to the new Volkswagen Passat R36 wagon. From the outside, the R36 is one of those cars that looks somewhat special, but due to understated R additions, it's hard to define exactly why, and that's not a bad thing. It has a classy European factory special look without resorting to the wings and the blank vents that some of the opposition use to ham it up a bit. It rides on elegant 18-inch wheels, shot in sticky performance rubber, finishing off what is essentially a good-looking car, and the wagon doesn't have that sometimes awkward look of the sedan stablemate. Despite being classed as a medium car, boot space is almost as roomy as the Holden Commodore station wagon, and the rear seats somehow get close too, with plenty of room for medium-sized adults. Maybe the compact narrow-angle VR6 engine gave Volkswagen engineers some room to play with. Boot space for the wagon, seats up, is a credible 588 litres and a whopping 1,641 litres with the rears folded flat. This only takes a couple of minutes, including removing the rear compartment cover and cargo barrier. And the aggressively styled 12-way adjustable front seats feature adjustable bolsters, memory positioning and lumbar support for those long trips. They manage to fill both comfort and sporting pretenses with aplomb, and throw in heating for a bonus point in winter. The view from the seat is of quite high standard. Storage is also well thought out with plenty of options, including an umbrella holder in the door, handy when experiencing Melbourne's 4 seasons in one day. Although Volkswagen's DSG gearbox has had a checkered history, it was actually upgraded for the R36. It is one of the best in the market. It proves to be super quick in manual and in sports mode, but almost unnoticeable in automatic mode, short of a little hesitation on takeoff. A common problem with a lot of today's automatics and flappy paddle dual clutch gearboxes, even in manual mode, the gearbox won't hold gears between corners. And unfortunately, Volkswagen's DSG suffers from the same problem. It does tend to take away from the fun when you're, up in the twisties. To bolster its sporting pretenses, the R36 does have a launch control function, but I think it's a bit of a gimmick. There's too much of a delay between releasing the brake and shooting forward, and it really does make it redundant in the traffic light showdown. That said, repeatable 5.8 0 to 100s makes it pretty quick and definitely fun. The dual clutch gearbox will actually help out your economy, but don't expect super numbers. After all, this is an R variant. That said, on the open road you can expect pretty handy figures of around 9 litres per 100 kilometres, but unfortunately around town you're looking on the higher side of 12.5 litres per 100 k's. On top of that, you will have to factor in 98 octane fuel, as that's a minimum requirement. It is a performance engine. Although Volkswagen's 4-motion all-wheel drive system isn't the peak of the technology, it certainly adds to the sure-footedness of the vehicle. Sitting 25mm lower than the standard Passat wagon, on slightly tauter springs and dampers, the R36 manages to dial out some of the vagueness and understeer of the standard range, and dial up some of the fun factor. On bumpy roads, the firmness is obvious, but realistically, it's a good compromise, and around town, it's quite comfortable and compliant. Surprisingly, servicing isn't a big issue when comparing with similar European cars, but you will pay a bit of an R tax on consumables like brake rotors and pads, and the large sticky tyres. The 3.6 litre VR configuration is super linear, and you can just ride the torque curve. The sound of the twin exhaust does give you a bit of an idea of what's lurking in the engine bay, without going over the top, but I think you're going to ruin your mileage because you want to give it a bit just to hear that burble. This thing really does go. This car's for the family man or woman that need the practicality and safety of a quality European vehicle, with that bit extra to satisfy the car lover within. With a 5-star European ANCAP rating, an important part of buying a car like this for your family is its safety, and with this car you've got no worries. If the Volkswagen Audi Group's Audi RS6 is the hyper family wagon, then the Passat R36 would have to be considered the company's super family wagon. 'Cause I got my bags packed.